If quarterbacks need to be able to throw the ball down the field as one of the primary objectives, Kyler Murray is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I know a lot of people aren't talking about this because they're talking instead about why Kyler Murray would be a perfect fit on Team X or Team Y should go out and trade for Kyler Murray. He's one of the most talked about quarterbacks from a trade perspective in the entire NFL. Everybody wants to go and get Kyler Murray after Kyler Murray was injured last year and then benched because they didn't want him playing for the Arizona Cardinals any longer. Let's break it down because I've got some statistics here that are pretty eye-opening in terms of some of Kyler Murray's struggles. Beyond some of the statistics though, stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to tell you something that you won't believe. If you are an outdoor team and you're looking to get Kyler Murray to start as your starting quarterback as an outdoor team, you're going to want to stick around to the end of this video. Some eye-popping stats. But let's talk about what I started with, which is Kyler Murray throwing the football down the field. Quarterbacks obviously have to do it. I'll go through a variety of different steps in terms of downfield passing, but if we want to look at the last 4 years, so since 2022, plenty of data on passes that are thrown 25 plus yards down the field, 20 yards down the field, 15 yards down the field, and then 10 yards down the field. We'll talk about all of it. 25 plus yards down the field. There are 36 qualifying quarterbacks over the last 4 years. Kyler Murray ranks 36 out of 36, dead last in completion rate. Only 21% of his passes are completed that are thrown 25 plus yards down the field. He ranks dead last 36 out of 36 in EPA per attempt, minus 0.18. He ranks dead last in yards per attempt. So 25 plus yards down the field, dead last across the board in every single statistic, throwing the ball 25 plus yards down the field. Okay, let's just look at 20 yards down the field and further. What about 20 plus yards down the field? There are 46 qualifying quarterbacks over the last 4 years, 46. Kyler Murray ranks number 45 out of 46 in EPA per attempt. He ranks number 42 out of 46 in yards per attempt. He ranks 40 out of 46 in completion rate. Terrible throwing the ball 20 plus yards down the field. Okay, let's just look at 15 plus yards down the field. 15 yards and further down the field. There are 51 qualifying quarterbacks. Kyler Murray out of 51 qualifying quarterbacks, 15 plus yards down the field. 51 out of 51 quarterbacks in EPA per attempt. 47 out of 51 quarterbacks in yards per attempt, and 42 out of 51 quarterbacks in completion rate. I've got a graphic that we could pop up on the screen here that looks at the quarterback efficiency on throws 15 plus yards down the field. And you can see where Kyler Murray sits on this list of quarterbacks since 2022. Worst in terms of EPA per attempt there on the x-axis. And I mean, we're talking he's down near rookies like Spencer Rattler and Cam Ward and some of these other young quarterbacks that he should have no business being anywhere close to these guys throwing the ball 15 plus yards down the field. Now, that's throwing the ball down the field, okay? So whether you look at 15 plus yards, 20 plus, 25 plus down the field, that's what I'm defining that. But let's even relax it to just say 10 plus yards down the field. What is Kyler Murray throwing the ball over 10 yards down the field, which is obviously what every quarterback does. You can say, oh, quarterbacks only throw the ball a few times a game, 25 plus yards down the field. Okay, how about 10 plus yards down the field? Kyler Murray, over the last 4 years, there are 43 qualifying quarterbacks, 10 plus yards down the field. Kyler Murray ranks 43 out of 43, aka dead last in EPA per attempt. He ranks 41 out of 43 in yards per attempt, and he ranks 36 out of 43 in completion rate. We've got all these talking heads in media right now on sports talk radio in different cities, in national TV, talking about teams that should go and get Kyler Murray. Are they not looking at what he does down the field passing the football? Even 10 plus yards down the field. And I'm not throwing out one efficiency metric. I'm throwing out EPA, yards per attempt, completion rate. He's worst, if not one of the worst in the NFL. There are 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. He does not even rank 32nd in the NFL. He's worse than 32nd in the NFL. In all of these metrics, passing the ball for a large span of time, just 10 plus yards down the field. So I'm not quite sure what we're looking at here when we're talking about Kyler Murray, if we're talking about the same thing. But now let's talk about two other quick factors as it relates to the Kyler Murray discussion that teams need to be having if they're considering going out and getting Kyler Murray. The first one is his health. Over the last 5 years, he's played just one season where he was healthy. One season out of the last 5 where he was healthy. He's a diminutive quarterback. He is small. He needs to be able to move around the pocket a lot. So every single one of these injuries that is affecting his mobility and potentially compounding from one year to the next, where he's never going to be quite the same as he was when he was completely healthy before any of these injuries, these are factors for a quarterback who is as small as Kyler Murray is, because he has to be quick and mobile in the pocket. Last year, he played only 5 of 17 games because he suffered a Liz Frank type midfoot sprain. In 2023, he played only 8 of 17 games because he was rehabbing an ACL injury. The year before that, he first missed time from a hamstring strain. Then later on in the season, at the end, he tore his ACL and his meniscus. The year before that, he suffered a grade 2 ankle sprain and missed multiple games as well. So injuries are a factor for a quarterback who is not a Ben Roethlisberger style quarterback, right? Where you could just play through injuries and you're okay. When I was evaluating and we were looking at Kyler Murray towards the end of the season from a evaluation perspective, is he going to deliver in this moment? Is he going to be good late in the season? Once he started getting some injuries and was playing through it or returned from an injury, okay, he's good enough to return, but he's not quite 100% probably. The Cardinals were a disaster in those situations. He is not great at playing through these because he needs to be perfect from a mobility perspective to be able to elude pass rushers, to be able to get open throwing lanes, etc. The last bit of context here as it relates to Kyler Murray that is probably going to surprise a lot of people, because I've looked at Kyler Murray for years and I've been concerned with Kyler Murray's upside for years, and even I didn't fully know this statistic. Kyler Murray has played in the 41 games that Kyler Murray has played since 2022. 41 games over the last 4 seasons. Only 12 of those games have actually been outdoors. 12 of 41. That's 29% of his games. Because of the injuries, right? Obviously teams, one year they're going to play 8 home games, the next year they're going to play 9 home games. So it should be balanced over the last 4 years. But because of his injuries and where they fell on the season, Kyler Murray has only played 18 road games to 23 home games. And as we know, the Arizona Cardinals play in a dome out in Arizona. So those games are dome games, 23, only 18 games on the road. Of those 18 games on the road, 6 of them have been in domes. So Kyler Murray has only played 12 actual games outdoors since 2022. You would think that the downfield throwing is more of a factor. You know, like if it's inside of a dome, why can't you be more accurate throwing the ball 10 plus yards down the field, 15, 20, 25? How are you going to be way less accurate than quarterbacks that have to play a lot in Cleveland or in Buffalo, like Josh Allen, etc.? But that's what Kyler Murray has been doing in all of these dome games. How are you going to be that inconsistent playing in a controlled environment? That's mind-boggling to me. And I ran through all the statistics. I'm not going to go over them again as to where Kyler Murray ranks just in games outdoors compared to all the other quarterbacks when they play outdoors as well. But Kyler Murray is dead last in the NFL. No surprise there on deep passing again. Whether it's EPA, yards per attempt, anything, whether you're looking at 25, 20, 15 plus yards down the field, is not good throwing the ball outdoors, as you would imagine if he's not good throwing the ball down the field indoors. And the last thing is, as relates to playing outdoors, this is silly. This is silliness as it relates to if you're Cleveland and you're looking to bring in potentially Kyler Murray, which I have heard daily for several days from Cleveland Talk Radio. Since 2022, 41 games played, Kyler Murray has played just one game, 1 out of 41, where the kickoff temperature was less than 45 degrees. 4 years, 1 game where the kickoff temperature was less than 45 degrees. How about windy? Do you play in any type of wind whatsoever? 15 miles per hour or greater. Did you play in any games where you had wind of 15 plus miles per hour? One game since 2022. That game was a game in Buffalo in September of 2024. His one game versus in less than 45 degrees, that actually was in December in Carolina. So not even a place that normally is brutally cold. It's just Carolina in December. That was his only game that was played at a kickoff temperature of less than 45 degrees. How about any form of precipitation? Has Kyler Murray played in any form of precipitation over the last 4 years? Once again, one game. One game he played in precipitation. That was a rain game in Green Bay in October of 2024. What's consistent about these 3 games? One game with a kickoff temperature of less than 45 degrees, he lost. One game with wind speeds of more than 15 miles per hour, he lost. One game played with precipitation, it was rain, he lost. He lost all 3 of those games. But the point is not that small sample size of him losing all of those games where there's any type of weather. The point is he does not have any experience. He can't throw the ball down the field. He hasn't had success throwing the ball down the field in all of these dome games. And now you're a team like Cleveland and you want to go and bring Kyler Murray to play there. Pittsburgh, he's short and he struggles to push the ball down the field. And he's got some injuries that are stacking up here as well. So I just think this bit of context as it relates to Kyler Murray is not making the rounds. People, when they're talking about the upside of Kyler Murray, and it might be just the current state of quarterbacks in general and how desperate teams are to get new quarterbacks in. We're seeing like 19 new offensive coordinators go into the NFL this upcoming season in 2026. People who don't have a starting caliber quarterback or feel that they don't want to go after a quarterback like Kyler Murray who has played elsewhere. Especially what is making this worse is Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl in Seattle after flaming out in New York with the Jets. And so people are like, hey, anybody can do it. Sam Darnold did it. Why can't we take Kyler Murray to Pittsburgh and Kyler Murray have a ton of success like Sam Darnold did and win a Super Bowl for us in Pittsburgh, or Kyler Murray win a Super Bowl in Cleveland for the Browns if Sam Darnold could do it in Seattle. And I'm just telling you, Kyler Murray has not been good playing football, throwing the ball down the field in a dome for most of the last 4 years. I don't think he's going to have a lot of success doing said goal, throwing the ball down the field in places like Pittsburgh, places like Cleveland, etc. So just added context in the Kyler Murray discussion. He's a starting caliber quarterback. Like, he can play in the NFL, obviously. I just don't think that if you're a GM, staking your career on, we want to make a big swing, let's go trade for Kyler Murray because he can salvage our team. He can bring us to the promised land. I just don't think that is the swing that is going to pay off for you. So while I think he can win some games for a team like the Arizona Cardinals, I just don't think he's winning a Super Bowl. He's not that type of a quarterback. I don't think he's worth as much on the trade market to go bring him in. And I certainly think people should be a little bit cautious when they're looking at him playing in an outdoors environment as their home stadium.